Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time it may be, it's time to do a critique on Peter Cyterra. Now, Peter Cyterra is a great rock singer, extremely successful, was with Chicago, went solo later. I don't know if he ever got back with Chicago. Maybe you could let me know in comments. I just want you to know that I am a teacher with a YouTube channel called The Battle for a Healthy Voice. You know that. But what you don't know is that I'm trying to save voices one video at a time, one video watching at a time. Peter Cyterra had a great rock sound. The basic premise of a vocal rock sound is that it does not, for the most part, follow bel canto in the neck, in the throat, in the mouth, in the jaw. It doesn't do that. If it did, I don't know that anybody would want to listen to rock. I trained under Mr. Lyle Moore, who was called later Dr. Lyle Moore, posthumously. He's passed away a number of years ago. He lived to be over 100. Gave me my last lesson when he was about 97 and still sounded like he was 35. Well, he sang with what we call bel canto. Not truly the original bel canto, because it's been going south for almost 200 years. Peter Cyterra did some study with the famous vocal coach Seth Riggs, who also taught Michael Jackson and Bette Midler, and I think maybe a few lessons with Barbra Streisand. I'm not sure about that. But Seth Riggs, as far as I know, is still alive and wrote a great book on how to sing. He knew that contemporary singing could not use actual original bel canto sound. When I got pretty well trained, I got a job in Spokane, Washington, singing at the Black Angus in the club there. And Mr. Moore told me to sing the way that he taught me. Well, I'd won the Eastern Washington State College Scholarship from my competition competing in the Northwest Allied Arts Festival of Spokane, beating all the instrumentalists and all the vocalists in 1968, which was a pretty good feather in my cap. However, singing that way in a club, I was quite surprised after my first set when the manager came up to me and said, "What in the world are you doing? The sound you're using is like operatic, like the 20s, like the teens." I said, "That's what my teacher taught me." And he said that people would get used to it. He says, "They will not. Did you see how many were leaving while you were singing?" Well, I was singing like this. I'll turn my piano on and I'll show you. Beginnings. It doesn't matter where we are. That's very much the bel canto sound, but it doesn't have any rock genre sound to it. In order to be a good rock singer, it's best to learn to sing original bel canto way, which will make you sound like a unusual opera singer, because even the operatic singers do not sing right for the most part in terms of vocal health, which is why most singers today have a short longevity. Example in point, Adele has had, according to my studies, and I went to her team of doctors in Los Angeles and talked with Dr. Renee Gupta, who has her own approach now to helping voices to remain healthy. I understand from all this study, she has had just 3 surgeries, as the media would like you to know, but she's had over 20 surgeries, and 2 of them she was bleeding from her throat, inside, off of her vocal bands. Well, I read an article, and please look it up, in The Guardian, which is an electronic newspaper. Look up, "Why do singers like Adele keep losing their voices?" And then you may want to take bel canto before you try to sing rock. Here's that same song once I learned how to sing rock genre with my bel canto approach. When I'm with you, it doesn't matter where we are or what we're doing. I'm gonna do that's all that matters. Got a little something clearing in my throat, but it does take internal excessive compression on the bands, which bel canto uses natural compression or natural, it's not even called compression, sorry, natural tension. When you do rock, you have to use neck muscles, jaw, you have to use internal tension, which we call compression. Now, the same system is used to support the sound, most people that understand it correctly, because that's breath is silent, in through the mouth, travels downward, outward, expanding all the intercostal muscle set. Front of the abdomen, front, sides, back, and bottom. Buttocks, that's why I say FSBB. That's part of most singers' approach. That's right. And honestly, to be correct in rock genre and most of the styles of music today, you have to use some compression internally. Now, I learned how to use it pretty healthily and became the leader of the new Christy Minstrels. I was the lead singer as well as the music director, as a guitarist, as a flautist, even played upright bass. But I sang the great song, and that was written and sung originally by the new Christy Minstrels under the direction of their original leader, Randy Sparks, a wonderful singer. If I sing it now, YouTube will probably stop me. So I'm just letting you know, watch Peter Cyterra sing Beginnings. Also, watch him, You're My Inspiration. I believe that's the correct title of Chicago's song. You're the meaning in my life. You're the inspiration. Okay. In addition to that, I have one more story to share. When I was singing with the famous Fred Waring Pennsylvanians, if you don't know who they are, Tom Edison and Henry Ford were his best friends. I used to sit at a dinner table and he would share with me stories about golfing with Henry Ford and Thomas Edison, talking about inventions. He co-invented, Mr. Waring, the milkshake mixer. And if you've ever heard of Waring Kitchen Products, that's his last name from him, not anyone else. Therefore, so I'm singing with the Pennsylvanians. And I just want you to know, when I sang with the Pennsylvanians, his son, Fred Jr., was singing. And one night he and I were trying to wind down after a show. And I said, did you do any music before you did that? And he said, oh yeah, I had my own group. But I got really upset at my dad one night over an argument we had. And I quit music. Said my group went on and was supposed to record an album. They needed a new name. They got another singer. And I'm not sure if it was Peter Cyterra at the time. But the group named themselves, Fred Waring Jr.'s group, named themselves Chicago Transit Authority, which short became Chicago, and he said, I missed it by that much. So with that in mind, remember, Peter Cyterra, great rock singer. You won't get as much longevity by any means when you use a rock sound. When I first started singing, I came to Mr. Moore and I was in a rock group trying to become a really good rock singer. Well, I like to sing like Jimi Hendrix. Purple haze running in my brain. Excuse me, while I kiss the sky. Well, every time I'd come home from practice, my mother, who was a professional singer, said, she was with the Gold Notes in Spokane, Washington. Some of you might remember that. She would say, David, how did practice go? And this is honest. I'd say, Mom, I don't know what's wrong. I can't talk because I didn't know how to sing right. Now, after I learned how to sing bel canto as best as I could, I trained my voice so that I could stylize. I'll leave you with one thought. It took me about 10 years to do this. Do you remember John Denver in a song called Calypso? My voice has been a little rough the past few days because I had esophageal reflux. If you don't know what that is, look it up. what happens is the trapdoor in your stomach releases the acid, and when you're sleeping, and it tries to eat your bands instead, because it doesn't know where it is. So the acid from your stomach comes up and burns your bands. Anyway, it took me 10 years to do that. Once I did it, I was able to get about a 4-octave plus range. And my young students of today, all the way from 18 up through 84, all have about 3 octaves, and the men are more. And the women have up to 5+ octaves. True. So keep in mind, Peter Cyterra, critique. Great visual performer, great audio performer as far as rock genre goes. In fact, in my wife Kathy Mangione's eyes and ears, best rock singer in her lifetime. And remember, she's the first cousin of Chuck Mangione. Bye for now, and remember this. Beginnings. Look it up. First recording. Always use original recording. Beginnings, and you're the inspiration. Bye for now.